Okay, well, do I got a conundrum for you folks today that hopefully you could try to help me maybe solve? My last video of when I was working on my 1988 Ford Ranger here, so there's the offending truck right there. We worked on replacing the valve cover gaskets to hopefully stem the flow of oil that was coming out of this truck. Again, this past summer, I probably leaked out about 4 quarts of oil here between oil changes, which was just absolutely ridiculous. 4 quarts oil between an oil change. And no, I don't think it's burning oil. It is leaking oil. But anyway, yeah, did the valve cover gaskets, everyone, finished that up, let the truck set for 24 hours, then started driving the truck. Let's see, I think it was Saturday. Yeah, it sat Saturday, everyone. Started driving it again Saturday night. Drove it a little bit Sunday for like 15, actually I know it was 15 minutes one way, so yeah, about 30 minutes I guess it was, I think. So yeah, like 10 miles and then 10 miles back, and then drove it again to work Monday, everyone, so about 10, I don't know if it's even 10 miles to work, something like that, 10 miles to work, 10 miles back. And between those 2 days, everyone, those 2 trips, we leaked out almost 2, maybe 3 quarts of oil. Yes, Evan, 2, maybe 3 quarts oil. And like, I don't know, the truck ran for probably an hour and a half, somewhere in there maybe. So suffice to say, when this truck was leaking some significant oil, we went from, puddles like this, I went underneath this cardboard here. I've got the absorbent down at the moment, but I had a puddle like just, kind of follow the outline of my arm here. Just, actually, you know what, let me pull it up here so you can see. Basically, hopefully you can see the absorbent. I mean, that's that was the size of the puddle, and in fact, it's kind of through the absorbent a little bit. I got like half a bag of stuff on there trying to absorb that oil. It was ridiculous. Massive, massive puddle of oil under there, everyone. So yeah, I was like, oh my goodness, this is not good. I figured out when I must have maybe screwed up doing the valve covers. It's like, okay, I must have screwed up somewhere. There must be oil leaking out of them valve covers again. Don't know where I messed up, but must have messed up somewhere. So brought it back to the shop, everyone. We started scouring it, looking. It's like, okay, it's got to be leaking from somewhere, everyone. Couldn't find it. Can't find it, everyone. Don't know where the oil's coming from. Excuse me, I had to clear my throat. Yeah, I don't know. Confused, everyone. I'm absolutely confused. We spent 4 days scouring the motor and trying to find out where the oil is leaking from. We see a couple of spots here and there where it looks like, yeah, it might be leaking a little bit. Obviously, it's leaking a little bit. But whatever was leaking like massive quantities of oil, everyone, has appeared to stop. Again, we spent like 4 days like cleaning the motor. It's like, okay, we're going to clean it because, again, everyone, this whole motor is like covered in oil, as is the entire underside of the truck. It's covered in oil. It's probably one reason it's still on the road yet, everyone. Yeah. Okay, real quick, everyone. Valve covers on these truck, or at least on this truck anyway. I don't know. It pretty much always has leaked as far as I can remember, everyone. I tried fixing the valve covers maybe 5 years ago. Was not very successful. I definitely maybe slowed it down a little bit, everyone. But again, it pretty much started leaking again right away after I fixed them. So I'm not expecting great things from my fix on my valve cover, Evan. I'm hoping to at least it's better, and that's it. And by the way, just to clarify here too, Evan, do I really think the valve covers were at fault for the leak? Yes, I do have one. I am 100% convinced the valve covers were, I won't say maybe the majority leak, but they were definitely leaking, everyone. They were leaking bad enough that the oil from the valve covers was coming down onto the exhaust manifolds, which is right below the valve covers there, and burning off. And I literally have smoke peeling out of the hood, everyone, from the oil that was burning off on the exhaust manifold. So I'm 100% convinced it was the valve covers that were leaking pretty badly. That problem has stopped, by the way. I no longer have smoke peeling out from underneath my hood. I no longer smell oil burning, so that's good. Anyway, back to it again, everyone. We spent like 4 days cleaning the motor and scrubbing, and we'd start it up and run it and look at it, and never found the leak, Evan. We don't know where the massive quantities of oil came from. It seems like everyone is suddenly is what it started, it has stopped. Again, I want to reiterate here, is not stopped completely, obviously. I put this fresh piece of cardboard down here just so I can see what's leaking. This is from I don't know, maybe half a dozen trips here or something like that. Driving the truck around, that's that oil leak right there. So it's definitely leaking yet, everyone. Again, probably the oil pan at fault. They're not 100% sure. Basically, everyone, what happened, maybe, I don't know, 2-3 years ago, I replaced the timing chain on this truck. And in doing so, when I took the timing chain cover off, I'm going to damage the oil pan gasket. To be expected, probably, right? Nothing unusual about that. Had a new oil pan gasket ready to go. Was planning on just, oh, we'll just put a new oil pan gasket on, right? Well, it turns out in order to get the oil pan off this truck, you either A, need to pull the motor, or B, drop the whole front axle and suspension. Needless to say, I did not feel like doing that, and we just did our best to slobber it full of RTV and called it good. Obviously, not maybe quite good, but it's okay. So again, I thought you folks might like this and maybe puzzle over it. Maybe some of you folks out there got some comments, suggestions. Where was the oil coming from, everyone? Like, we were leaking massive quantities of oil. Probably I lost 2 to 3 quarts of oil there, everyone, in the, like, 2 times. Was it 2 times? Yeah, 2 times I drove it, everyone. I think we drove it twice. And the 2 times I drove it, we lost probably 2 to 3 quarts. It was, like, scary how much oil I lost, everyone. It was like, oh, my goodness, this is not good. This is not good. So, yeah. Yeah, what would have leaked 2 to 3 quarts of oil, everyone, and then stopped? Not a super comforting thought, if you ask me, by the way. Not super comforting thinking about that. It's like, okay, we lost 2 to 3 quarts of oil. It leaked out of somewhere. Where did it come from? And now it's stopped. It's not leaking. Well, again, it's leaking a little bit, but it's not leaking like it was. Before, if I had left this sit here, that whole underside, I'd have a puddle about the size of this top piece of cardboard right here, right where that crease is. That's how big the oil puddle was. In fact, it was leaking so bad. I don't know if you can see under here. I don't know, maybe you really can't. You could literally see the outline of the transmission, the axle, or the drive shaft, the drive shaft and the rear axle. There was just oil drips all the way down the transmission, all the way down the axle. So it was literally running down the top of the drive shaft, everyone, onto, I guess, the axle. So I had line running this way. I had a line running this way, all the way up to the motor. The bad leak was definitely up here. So, and no, everyone, it wasn't transmission fluid or anything like that was leaking. It was definitely oil. I don't know, everyone. I'm confused. Thought I'd make this video. You folks might enjoy puzzling over this. So again, thanks for watching, everyone. Like I said, throw some comments, suggestions down below. What was leaking? Why did it stop? Why did it start in the first place? Again, I thought maybe I screwed up my valve covers when I did the job, everyone, but the valve covers look good. Can't find the leak. Again, we never did find the leak. We cleaned the motor the best we could. Never did find anything leaking, other than the oil pan. Again, the oil pan it's dripping a little bit, but it's not like leaking massive quantities of oil, everyone. So, what the heck?